So hello students, welcome back to CBSE NCERT Solutions by Vedantu. This is Baswaracho, your biology maths teacher. Now students, this is the part 2, right? This is the part 2 of the chapter Morphology of Flowering Plants. In the previous chapter, we learned something about root, stem and leaf as well as their modifications, especially in terms of, for the stem, a lot of modifications we learned. Now, what are we going to learn in today's class? In today's class, we'll be taking a next step ahead, one step ahead, that is going to be the flower. So we'll be discussing about inflorescence first of all, and then we'll talk about flower, where we'll be talking about something called as incomplete and complete flower. What are the four different worlds? How does the four different worlds interact with each other? For example, how does the sepals and stamen interact with each other? How does the petal and stamen interact with each other? Then we'll also learn something called as the different structure of stamen, different what do I say? Different types of Adolphus conditions. Then we'll be learning something called as the fruit and seed, and that is going to be the end of today's class. So this is the entire flow for today's class. Let's see if you are able to answer the questions which I asked you. Any doubt, anytime you can always ask me. Right? Any doubt, anytime you can always ask me, students, and I will answer your questions in the chat. Hello, hello, good afternoon, each and every one of you. Good afternoon, good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon, each and every one of you. So let's start with something called as inflorescence first of all. Alright, let's start with something called as inflorescence. All of you know this, so I'm gonna explain it in a much more easier way to understand. For example, students, this is a stem right here. One second, if this one second. Perfect. So this is a stem right here, right? For example, hello, hello, hello. This is a stem right here. This is a stem. A stem has something called as nodal regions. Yes, it has something called as nodal regions. At the nodal regions, we can also always see the development of a leaf at the nodal region. So we can see a development of a leaf at a nodal region. Now here we have something called as leaf axis. Here we have something called as the leaf axis, and in this leaf axis there is a small bud here. Can anyone tell me what is this bud called as? Can anyone in the chat tell me what is this bud which is present in the leaf axil? This bud right here is called as what? Axillary bud. It is called as what? Axillary bud. Now students, in the previous class, didn't I mention this axillary bud can develop into two things. It can either develop into a branch or it can develop into a flower. Any one of the two possibilities are always there. Either it can develop into a branch or it can develop into a flower. Right? For example, in this case right here, if it develops into a branch, this axillary bud develops into a complete branch. Develops into a branch. Again, this branch also has nodal regions. Yes, it also has a nodal regions. But this time this time instead of leaf growing at the nodal regions, I repeat again, instead of leaves growing at nodal region, we can see the development of flowers at the nodal regions, friends. At the nodal regions, we can see the development of flowers. Flowers at the nodal region. Can you see here? So what do we have right now? We learned right now, students. We learned right now that is flower at the nodal region. At the nodal region, we can see the development of flower. And what is the internode? The internode here, students. Internode gets completely condensed. Internode gets completely short or condensed. This is the internode, right? This is the internode. Now, what is this stalk called as here now? This entire branch, what is the name of this branch? The entire branch is called as your inflorescence axis. It is called as what? Inflorescence axis. It is also called as flowering axis. Because on this axis flower is growing, flowering axis. The other name, third name, friends, it is also called as what? Peduncle. Not any uncle, peduncle. Okay, Pendle, peduncle. So three different names for this axis. That is inflorescence axis, flowering axis, or peduncle. Now, what is the definition of inflorescence, students? Arrangement of flowers arrangement of flowers on the floral axis. This is also called as what? Floral axis. All the different names for this one axis, students. So arrangement of flowers on the floral axis is called as inflorescence. So we just now learned that all of these flowers are arranged. All of these flowers are arranged on an axis, and the entire process is called as what? Inflorescence. Did all of you understand the meaning of inflorescence, now, students? Did all of you understand the meaning of inflorescence? Yes or no? Quickly type in the chat. That is called as inflorescence. But before we talk about inflorescence, your NCERT talks about flower actually. In your inflorescence part, it actually talks about flower. You can see here. A flower is a modified shoot. A flower is a modified shoot. That is, the shoot apical meristem. Shoot apical meristem gets converted to floral meristem. Floral meristem. Shoot apical meristem is getting converted to floral meristem. See? To floral meristem. To floral meristem. Internodes do not elongate, that will be learned there, it gets condensed, and axis gets condensed. Axis gets condensed. The apex produces different kinds of floral appendages laterally at successive nodes instead of leaf. So instead of leaves, what do we have now, friends? Instead of leaves at a nodal regions, we have a flower development. When a shoot tip transforms into a flower, it is when the shoot tip, if this is the shoot tip, for example, this right here is the shoot tip. If the shoot tip develops into a flower, it is always solitary. Very important line. Very important line of NCERT. If the shoot tip develops into a flower, it is always solitary inflorescence. Okay. So what is inflorescence? The arrangement of flowers on the floral axis is termed as inflorescence. Arrangement of flowers. Depending on whether the apex gets converted to flower or continues to grow, there are two major types of inflorescence. Understand, friends? What is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this line? Understand. For example, we have two types of inflorescence, students. We have two types of inflorescence. One is called as racemose. Other one is called as cymose. Now, what happens in racemose, students? In racemose, the main tip continues to grow. For example, this is the main tip, right? Main branch. This right here. You see this right here. This is called as inflorescence axis, right? This is called also called as the main tip. This is called as the main tip. This part is called as main tip. Okay. If the main tip continues to grow, that is called as racemose inflorescence. That is the main axis, the inflorescence axis. The main axis is continuously growing here. It is going to be continuously growing. It keeps on growing. Continuously growing. Main axis continuously keeps on growing here. Can I call it then unlimited growth? Unlimited growth. Unlimited growth can be seen here. Okay. Now what about cymose? In the case of cymose, the terminal part is always a flower. See? The main axis here. Can you see here? If the main axis terminates with a flower, that is called as racemose. In the top here, right here, if you have a flower here, then it is called as cymose. If there is no flower, it is keep on growing. That is called as racemose inflorescence. Very simple. Very simple to understand. For example, the main axis. Understand, friends. Main axis terminates. Main axis terminates with the. And can I call it as limited growth? And students, I've got all your notes. Today evening, you can find all your notes in the Telegram channel, okay? All the notes from morphology, respiration, photosynthesis, every single chapter, even biomolecules notes I've found. Okay, I'll be sending you all of the notes in Telegram today evening. Okay, after this class, I'll sit and send them one by one. Because each file is around 200 MB, 100 MB, and I did not know how large the files I had gotten, but notes are there. Yeah, I found majority of your notes. Okay. Now, students, understand in the case of racemose inflorescence, there is something called as acropetal succession or acropetal arrangement of flower. Now, what is the acropetal arrangement? Meaning is very simple. Meaning is very simple. If this is the main axis, not ending with a flower, first of all, then we have lateral branches. We have lateral branches. Here we have flowers on these lateral branches. For example, here we have the large flower. Here we have a large flower, and as you go up, the flowers are becoming smaller, younger flowers. So in a branch, if young flowers at the top, young flowers at the top, and old flowers at the bottom. If young flowers are at the top, old flowers at the bottom, such an arrangement is called as what? Acropetal succession. But how do you remember? It's a small trick to remember. It's a very small trick. Now, if I keep a race between a person who is in his 20s and a person who is in his, let's say, 80s, who would win the race? You tell me, all of you. Small trick. Tell me. If I keep a running race, all of you know, 500 meters or 100 meters running race. If a person is 20s and a person is in 80s, who will win the race? Obviously, the young person will win the race. So, can I tell in the racemose inflorescence? In racemose inflorescence, there is a race is happening, and the young people are winning the race, and young people are at the top of front. So, young flowers are at the top, old flowers at the bottom. Clear, all of you? Clear? Small trick to remember it. Now, for example, in the case of your cymose inflorescence, in the case of cymose inflorescence, there is something called as basipetal succession. Basipetal succession. Now, what does the meaning of basipetal arrangement of flowers? In the basipetal arrangement of flowers, we have an old flower at the terminal position, old flower at the terminal position, and as we come down, we have a much more smaller flower, much more smaller flower here, and very young flowers at the bottom, very young flowers at the bottom. So where we can see here old flowers at the top, young flowers at the bottom. Such arrangement is called as what? Basipetal succession. Basipetal succession. Clear, all of you? That is called as basipetal succession. Let's see the NCERT lines and let's see if you can understand anything. Okay. See here. Let's read the NCERT line, students. See, it says here, depending upon whether the apex gets converted into a flower, that is in the case of cymose, or continues to grow, that is in the case of racemose, two major inflorescences are defined, racemose and cymose inflorescence. In racemose type of inflorescence, the main axis continues to grow and the flower borne laterally in an acropetal succession. That is in the case of racemose. Now, what happens in the case of cymose? In the case of cymose of inflorescence, the main axis terminates in the flower. Can you see here, students? The main axis is terminating with the flower. Main axis is terminating with the flower, right? Hence limited in growth. The flower are born in a basipetal manner. What is basipetal manner, friends? Basipetal manner means very simple, young, old at the top, young at the bottom. Can you see here, students? Old at the top and young at the bottom. That is called as basipetal succession or basipetal arrangement of flowers. Clear, all of you? Clear? No. This is again, can you see here? Young at the top, young at the top here. I can clearly see young flowers at the top here, old flowers at the bottom. Old flowers at the bottom. So can I call this as racemose or cymose? Tell me in the chat, tell me, all of you. Can I call this racemose or cymose now? Young flowers at the top, old flowers at the bottom. This is the typical example of racemose inflorescence. Racemose inflorescence. Now, what about this? This is cymose. See, terminating with the flower, young flowers at the bottom, old flowers at the top. This is the typical example of cymose inflorescence. Right? Typical example of cymose inflorescence overview. Now, let's have the flower now, friends. Let's have the flower and one by one we'll understand each one of them. Okay. Now, can anyone tell me which is the photosynthetic organ in the case of plants? Which is the photosynthetic organ? Photosynthetic organ in the case of plants. Quickly. Anyone? Anyone? Photosynthetic organ. Absolutely. The photosynthetic organ in the case of plant is leaf. All of you know leaf is the photosynthetic organ. Then what is a flower? The flower becomes the reproductive organ. It becomes a reproductive unit. It becomes a Reproductive unit. Like how your leaf is a photosynthetic, flower is the reproductive unit. And what is happening here, students? We know from the previous slide, the shoot apical meristem gets converted to floral meristem here. Floral meristem. All of you should know that. Floral meristem. Okay. Now, students, let me draw the flower for you and let's label the parts, all the four different whorls. For example, before the four different whorls starts, there's the basal part which is very swollen. There is a swollen basal part. Can you see? This is the swollen basal part. The swollen basal part here. Okay. This swollen basal part is called as thalamus. It is called as what? Thalamus. And on top of this thalamus, all the four different whorls are present. Four different whorls are present on top of this thalamus. Okay. This is the lowermost portion called as thalamus, on top of which all the four different whorls will be present. Okay, it will be present. Okay. Now, students, which is the outermost wall? The outermost wall is called as the sepals. Sepals. Also called as your calyx. Also called as the calyx, which mainly has the sepals. Okay. 1 second, students. Outermost wall is called as the sepals. Right here. You see, the outermost stupid pen is not able to write properly here. Outermost called as sepals. Okay. One became really fat, one became really thin, but okay. Down inner walls. After sepals, what do we have? After sepals, we have a colorful red, vibrant, or any vibrant color, something called as petals. We have the vibrant color petals. That is the second wall. That's the second wall. Then we have the next two walls are called as reproductive walls. For example, the first one, the first reproductive wall is called as the androecium, which is basically the collection of stamen. Which is basically collection of stamen is called as your androecium, which is a bilobed structure. Bulb is called as androecium, or this is, entire thing is called as what? Stamen. This part first of all, let's label one by one. This is called as anther. This is called as filament. This is called as filament. Together, they're called as the stamen. Stamen. Okay. That is androecium. Now, or that is the stamen part. Now, what about the female reproductive part? The female reproductive part is called as your pistil. It's called as the pistil. It has three main parts. A pistil has three main parts. A pistil has three main parts. That is stigma, style, and ovary. That is a pistil. One second. I stopped drawing on this uh, notepad. Nothing works on this. This is the stigma, receptive stigma. This is the long style, and this is the ovary. This is the ovary. Together they are called as what? Together they are called as your actually carpel. Carpel. Okay, carpel. Now inside the ovary there will be ovules inside the ovary also. Inside the ovule there will be ovary. Okay. Now students, understand. I will teach you a small concept called as now. Can anyone tell me what is the meaning of incomplete? For example, what is that one thing in your life? If it is missing, you'll tell it my life is incomplete. For me, it's the food. If there is no food in my life, I'll be like, if I don't eat something good in the day, I'll be like, my life wasted my day. Okay, I feel like regret. I should have eaten something nice today. So for me, it is always the food because I love food and everything. So for me, the food. I feel incomplete without the food. Okay. Similarly in the case of plants also we have something called as complete flower, complete flower, and also called as incomplete flower. Complete as well as incomplete flower. Or complete or incomplete flower. Now, what is a complete flower, students? Complete flower will have all four whorls present. All four whorls are present. All four whorls are present and it becomes a complete. For example, calyx, corolla, andrecium, gynoecium. All four whorls are present. It is called as complete flower. Then what is the incomplete flower? Incomplete flower is a flower which has any one of the whorl. Any one of the whorl is missing. Any one of the whorl is missing. It is missing. That is called as incomplete flower. Now, apart from there is also something called as, see, this is your andrecium, that is the male reproductive part. Gynoecium female, corolla is made of petals, calyx is made up of sepals. Then we have pedicel, that is the stalk of the entire flower is called as pedicel. Like how we had peduncle for inflorescence, here we have something called as pedicel. Pedicel. Now here also flower can be divided into all the four whorls can be divided into something called as two main parts. That is non-essential whorls called as axillary whorls, which has an indirect role in the reproduction. They do not directly reproduce, help in reproduction, but have indirect role. For example, calyx will help in production of flower. Corolla will help in attracting the pollinators. Then we have something called as essential whorls whose function is very direct. For example, androecium will produce the pollen grains, gynoecium will produce the egg or the ovules, right? Where fertilization can take place. So we have something called as non-essential whorls and essential whorls. Non-essential whorls which are indirect role in the reproduction. Essential whorls has a direct role in the reproduction. That is the major difference between essential and non-essential whorls. Clear all of you? Clear? Now, symmetry in the flower. Very beautiful understanding symmetry. For example, students, can you see all these flowers? Yes, we can see all these flowers. For examples, you can divide a flower. For example, humans also. Let's take a simple example. Let's take a simple example. Here I have a spherical structure or round circular structure. If I can cut it in one plane, two plane, three plane, or any plane, can I keep cutting in any plane? That becomes radial symmetry. Or, for example, some other weird structure. For example, I have a watch here, right? I have a watch here. For example, if it didn't have a similar structure like this, if I can divide in only one plane, that becomes zygomorphic. If I can divide a flower we cannot divide at all, that becomes your asymmetrical. Now see here, this flower can be divided in any plane. Can you see here? One, two, three, four. Any plane you can divide it. It becomes actinomorphic or radial symmetry. Now what about this one? This can be divided in only one plane. Can you see? Only one plane. That becomes zygomorphic or bilateral symmetry. Bi means two. Then this becomes asymmetrical. Now, what is the definition? Definition wise, we understand the definition wise. Okay. For example, what is the meaning or definition of actinomorphic? Definition of actinomorphic. Okay, definition of actinomorphic. First of all, remember students, actinomorphic is also called as radial symmetry. It is also called as radial symmetry. Why? Because it can be divided in any plane, any radial plane. Any radial plane. Now, what is the definition of actinomorphic, students? If a flower, let me change the color. If a flower, if a flower is divided, if a flower is divided into two equal halves, into two equal halves in any radial plane, in any radial plane, that becomes your actinomorphic. Now, in examination, they will never ask you the definition of actinomorphic. No, that is only for your understanding. You can take a flower, divide in any plane. Done. What they will ask you in examination is the examples. For examples. Now, here for actinomorphic, the example is very fairly simple to remember. Also, MCD, M McDonald's. That is M for mustard, M for mustard, C for chili, C for chili, and D for datura. Datura. Clear? Datura. MCD, McDonald's. Okay, MCD, mustard, chili, datura. Now that is the actinomorphic. That is the basically Actinomorphic you can divide in any plane, basically any plane. Okay, done. Now what is here? Zygomorphic. Zygomorphic, also called as bilateral symmetry. Zygomorphic, also called as bilateral symmetry. Bilateral symmetry. Understand? Very simple again. Very simple to understand. Bilateral symmetry. Same definition. Same definition. If a flower can be divided into two equal half in only one plane, in only one plane, that becomes zygomorphic. If you take a flower, it can divide into two equal halves, but only in one plane, like this or something like this, or any diagonal, any plane. In only one plane, that becomes zygomorphic. Now again, example is the most important part. Example is the most important part. So here we have something called as P bean, Gulmohar and Cassia. P bean, Gulmohar, P bean, Gulmohar and Cassia. Gulmohar and Cassia. Students, examination, they will ask you only examples. I cannot stress this enough. They will never ask you the entire definition. Okay, they will never ask you the entire definition one by one. They will only ask you the examples from this chapter and you have to remember. Okay, you have to remember examples. Okay, now, what is the meaning of asymmetrical then? Asymmetrical. Asymmetrical. Asymmetry is very simple. That is, you cannot divide up, you cannot, you cannot divide the flower into two equal half in any plane. In any plane. You cannot divide at all. Not possible. Not possible at all. For example, here is going to be canna. I'll show you a diagram. I'll show you a diagram. You only tell me you can divide or not. See, this is actinomorphic. You can this flower can be divided in any plane. Actinomorphic, chili, datura, mustard. It can be divided into equal half in any plane. Can you see? Divide equal half in any plane. You can divide it. Now look at zygomorphic. You can divide it only in one plane, something like this. That's all. Even this also, it can be divided into two equal half in only this plane. Understanding? This also can be divided only equal half in this plane. So only one plane, zygomorphic. Now try dividing this flower. Huh? Muskan, try dividing this flower. Can you divide this flower, called as canna flower, in any equal half? Tell me, can you divide this flower? Not possible at all. Not possible at all to divide this asymmetrical flower. Okay. Now, this is did the NCERT. In asymmetry, a flower may be actinomorphic, radial symmetry, zygomorphic, bilateral symmetry. When a flower can be divided into two equal half in any radial plane, that is your actinomorphic. Example is mustard, datura, chili. Where it can be divided into two equal half in only one plane. See, only one plane. That becomes zygomorphic. P, bean, gulmohar, and cassia. Asymmetrical cannot be divided. Example is canna. Example is canna. Any line did you understand, friends? Any line did you not understand? Did you not understand of NCERT? Okay. Now, what is merosity? Merosity is very simple. Sometimes what happens is in the plant, it will have three petals, three sepals, three androecium. Can you see here? Three stamens, three stamens, three ovules, three petals, three sepals, four petals, four sepals, four anther, five petals, five sepals, five anther or five stamen. That is called as merosity. That is called as merosity, where there is something called as trimerous, tetramerous, pentamerous, where floral appendages are multiples of 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now, one more thing is called as bract. Bract is basically a reduced leaf-like structure present at the base of the stalk of the leaf of the flower. See, for example, students, this is the flower right here. You saw many flowers right here. This is called as stalk of the flower. We have the stalk of the flower here. At the base of the stalk of the flower, we have a leaf-like structure called as bract. If bract is present, it is called as bractate. If the bract is absent, it is called as ebractate. When the bract is absent. bract is absent, it is called as ebractate. When the bract is absent completely. Any doubt here, students? Quickly ask me. Now, because we will go to the next concept, it is a very important concept now. Very, very important concept coming up. What is classification of flower based on the position of the ovary with respect to other floral appendages. Now, again, every single example, I'll give you a trick now. A trick for all the hypogynous, perigynous, epigynous have a trick. Then I'll teach you a trick for something called as estivation. Every single estivation have a trick. Every single placentation has a trick. Okay, so learn with the help of tricks, you can remember it throughout your life easily. Okay, now what is the meaning of hypogynous? In the case of hypogynous, first look at the position of the ovary. See here, this is the position of the ovary. Tell me, isn't it like sitting on a throne on top of everything and all the floral appendages? It could be thalamus, sepals, petal, even the stamen. Everything is below it. Yes. So when the ovary is on the top of the world, it is occupying the highest position. And all the other floral appendages, it could be sepals, corolla, and the stamen. Everything is below the gynoecium. Such a ovary is called as superior ovary and it is represented by, see, it is the gynoecium, top of the world, everything below it. Everything below it. Such a condition is called as hypogynous condition, all of you. It's called as what? Hypogynous condition, where ovary is superior on top of the world. And all the floral appendages are coming from below it. Now, example, very simple. Example is hero. The hero must have, the hero must have brinjal. Must have brinjal. Very simple trick. Hero must have brinjal. What is he? H? H in the hero stands for hypogynous. Hypogynous. What is M? M stands for mustard. Mustard. What is H? H stands for hibiscus. H stands for hibiscus. Now, what is brinjal? Brinjal stands for brinjal. Brinjal. Clear? So mustard, hibiscus, brinjal are three different examples for hypogynous condition. Hypogynous condition. Will you remember this now, students? Will you remember this? Yes. Mustard, hibiscus or China rose, or brinjal. Mustard, hibiscus or China rose, or brinjal are the three different examples for hypogynous condition where ovary is in the top and called as superior ovary. Now, what about perigynous ovary? Look at the structure of ovary first of all of you. Look at this structure of the ovary. Can I tell the ovary right now is not on top of the world, rather the ovary is in the center somewhere. Yes, ovary is in the center. Yes, over in the center. Now look at the floral appendages. Where are they arising from? All the floral appendages, it could be sepals, petal, or androecium. Aren't they arising from the corner of the thalamus? See, this is the thalamus, right? This green portion is called a thalamus. This is called as the corner of the thalamus. Also, a corner is also called as a rim. It's also called as rim of the thalamus. Can you see it? So when the ovary is in the center and all the floral appendages are arising from the rim of the thalamus, such a condition is called as perigynous and ovary is said to be half inferior. Clear? See, the calyx, corolla and androecium are located at the rim of the thalamus at the same level. Rim of the thalamus. Clear, all of you? Half inferior. So, gynoecium, same level. All the floral appendages. All the floral appendages are at the same level as gynoecium here. So, same level. Previously, how it was? Previously, it was gynoecium on the top. Everything is below its foot. Gone. So, it's saying my foot. Okay? To all of them. This is perigynous condition. Now, again, you have a small trick here also, students. Perigynous. That is, people pluck pink roses. People pluck. People pluck pink roses. The P in the people stands for perigynous. Very simple. The first one, perigynous. The P in the pluck, plum, pluck. They sound the same. Pluck and plum. So plum. Pink, peaches. peaches. And finally, roses for roses. So what is the trick here? People pluck pink roses. We have plum, peaches and roses and a perigynous condition. And perigynous condition. Clear all of you? Clear all of you? That is the meaning of perigynous condition, where the ovary is in the center. All the floral appendages are the same level, arising from the rim of the thalamus. Arising from the rim of the thalamus. Clear? No. See here. Plum, roses, peaches is not given here. Now, what is epigynous? Look at epigynous is total destruction. Okay. Your ovary wall, right? Can you see this is the ovary wall right here? This is the ovary wall. Here, the ovary is completely engulfed. The ovary is completely covered by the thalamus. Can you see here? This was thalamus, right? This was thalamus. Thalamus is completely like eating the ovary only, completely. Okay. Completely eating the ovary. If you can see here, the ovary is completely on the inside now. Nowhere seen on the outside. This is the ovary. Ovary is nowhere seen. The ovary wall or the thalamus. The thalamus is completely engulfing or completely covering the ovary here, and it is present in the bottom, and all the floral appendages are in the top. Like see, sepals. It could be petals, sepals, as well as the androecium, as well as androecium or stamen is on the top. So can I tell this is the ovary and every gynoecium? Everyone is on the top of the gynoecium now. Everyone is at the top of gynoecium. Clear all of you? Clear? The ovary is full, and such ovary is called as inferior ovary because it is completely inferior. It is completely on the inside. Inferior ovary. Now, what's the trick here? Trick is very simple. Eric and Sunny goes for camping. Goes camping. They're going for camping. E in the Eric stands for your epigynous condition. Epigynous condition. The S stands for sun, sunflower, especially the ray florets. Ray florets. Ray florets. The G stands for guava or guava, guava. The C stands for cucumber. So Epic Sunny or Eric and Sunny goes for camping. Sunflower, guava, cucumber are three different examples of perigynous. Clear? Three different examples clear? Guava, sunflower, and cucumber. Can you see here? This diagram, if you can notice, thalamus is completely covering the ovary on the inside. Ovary is present on the inside. It is completely covered here. If you look in this diagram, see here. First one is hypogynous condition. Ovary is at the top, ovary at the center for perigynous condition. Okay. Now here epigynous condition. Epigynous condition, ovary is completely covered now. Let's see the NCERT lines. Based on the position of calyx and corolla and androecium, in respect to the ovary on thalamus, the flower are described as hypogynous flowers, perigynous and epigynous. The hypogynous flowers are gynoecium occupies the highest position while the other parts are below it, superior ovary. Example, mustard, China rose and brinjal. If the gynoecium is at the center, gynoecium is the center and other floral parts are at the rim of the thalamus and almost the same level. That is called as perigynous condition. Last one is epigynous condition where the thalamus grows upwards and enclosing the ovary completely. So thalamus growing upwards, completely covering the ovary. One massive hug and completely taking it inside. Okay. Getting fused with it. While other parts of the flower rise above it. That is called as inferior ovary, also called as your epigynous condition. Example is ray flowers of sunflower, cucumber and guava. Cucumber and guava. Done. Done all of you. Beautiful. I think one slide is missing, students. Calyx slide is missing. Calyx slide is missing. Let me tell you. The slide is missing. I think I deleted it by mistake. Calyx, what is calyx? Calyx is the outermost layer. Calyx is the outermost layer. It is outermost layer, outermost wall, outermost wall. What is it made up of? It is made up of sepals. Now students, these sepals can be of two types. Can you hear? The sepals are free. The sepals are free. When the sepals are free, it is called as polysepalous. It is called as polysepalous condition. You can see here students, all the sepals are free here. They are not joined together. Not joined together. Now, if the petals are fused, if the petals are completely fused, that is called as gamosepalous. Gamosepalous. How do you remember this? G for gum, G for glue, G for fused also. Like fused. G for gum. 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 Fused. Gum will fix everything. So this is called as gamosepalous condition right here. Gamosepalous condition right here. Okay. Now, corolla. Same thing goes for corolla. What is corolla? Second most one. What is it made up of? Petals. What is the function? Attracting pollinators. Again, here also we have something called as polypetalous. All the petals are free. Gamopetalous. All the petals are fused. That's all. Now, here corolla can be of different shape. For examples, here the shape of the corolla can vary greatly in plants. The corolla may be tubular, bell-shaped, funnel-shaped, or wheel-shaped. Can you see here? Tubular, funnel-shaped. This you might have seen all of you in the garden. Bell-shaped or cartwheel shaped. Okay, cartwheel shape. Different shapes of corolla. Okay. The students, let's take a 15 minutes break. Let's take 15 minutes break and come back, and then we will do the estivation. Okay, I'll go eat something and come. So break till 5:18, 5:33, or 34. Okay, 5:34 we'll start the class again. Then we will learn the estimation with the help of simple examples. Okay, with the help of simple examples and diagrams and GIFs, we will learn the estimation. Very simple again, very short, very simple. Okay. Now, students, let's start with something called as the estivation, right? What is the meaning of estivation? So, understand what is estivation, students. Okay. Estivation is nothing but arrangement of petal or arrangement of sepal with respect to each other. For example, here I have a petal, one more petal. How are they arranged with respect to each other? That is called the estivation. Simple. So here, the, the mode of arrangement of sepal or petal in floral bud with respect to other members of the same whorl is known as your vexillary estivation. The main type of estivation are valvate, twisted, imbricate, maxillary. One by one we'll do now. So for example, see this valvate estivation. All of you look at valvate estivation. Can you see here? Each petal or sepal is touching nail to nail, nail to nail. Just margins are being touched here. Can you see? Margin is touching here. This margin is touching this margin. Margins are being touched here. Margins are being touched. So margins are being touched one by one here. Right? Margins are being touched. Now, is there any overlapping here? No, there is no overlapping here. So when the sepals of petals in a whorl just touch one another at the margin, just touch one another at the margin without overlapping. That is very important line. In valvate estivation, there is no overlapping at all. There is no overlapping at all. Okay. Example is Calotropis. It is said to be valvate. What is the trick here? Trick is very simple. Trick is very simple. It is called as valvate chair or velvet chair. It's called as valvate chair. C for Calotropis. C for Calotropis. Valvate chair called as Calotropis. Okay. See here. Example is Calotropis. All the margins just touching each other. There is no overlapping. There is no overlapping here. That is called as valvate estivation. Next one, student. Next one. Next one is called as twisted estivation. Now, what is happening in twisted estivation? Understand. Understand. Now, here can you see one margin? We'll see here. Diagram I'll show you first of all. Every single margin is overlapping in an alternating manner. This is overlapping on the other one. This is overlapping on the next petal. This is overlapping on the previous petal, next petal. So there is something called as overlapping, and there is a constant alternating overlapping, and it's called as twisted estivation. Okay, see here. If one margin of the appendages overlaps that of the next one, and so on, it is called as twisted estivation. There is a constant overlapping. Now, what is the trick here? Trick is very simple. Lady from China has a twisted cotton. Lady from China has a twisted cotton here. Lady from China has a twisted cotton. What is the L? A lady for lady's finger. Ladies for lady's finger. Bindi. Okay. China for China rose. Twisted for twisted estivation. Twisted estivation. Cotton for cotton. Three different examples. Cotton, China rose, lady's finger are the three different examples for twisted estivation. Twisted estivation. Clear all of you? Clear? Next one. See here, China rose, lady's finger, and cotton. Can you see it's an alternating manner? So beautiful flower. Alternating manner. Twisted estivation. Next one is called as imbricate. Imbricate is very simple to understand, students. It is similar to twisted, but a little bit of difference is there. Can you see this one right here? This particular leaf or a leaf or a this particular sepal or petal. This one is completely on the inside. This petal is completely on the inside, and this petal is completely on the outside. Completely inside, completely outside. The remaining one, two, three, remaining one are overlapping. See, outside, inside, inside, outside, inside, outside. The remaining three petal or sepals are alternating. One petal is completely on the inside, one petal is completely on the outside. Okay. This petal is completely on the inside. This petal is completely on the outside. It's completely outside. Both the ends are outside. Here both the ends are on the inside. On the inside. This is called as imbricate estivation. Okay. Now what is the trick here? Trick. Very simple trick. Very simple trick for imbricate. Now, imbricate, doesn't it rhyme with advocate? Tell me yes or no. Imbricate, advocate. Advocate fights gun cases. Gun cases. The G for Gulmohar, Gulmohar, and C for Cassia. Now they can ask you a question, friend. They can mix and match. Which of the following flower shows imbricate estivation and zygomorphic condition? Tell me what is the answer, students? Tell me what is the answer. Which two flowers show imbricate estivation and zygomorphic condition? Tell me the answer now. Tell me. The two flowers which shows imbricate estivation and zygomorphic condition. Gulmohar and Cassia. Right? Gulmohar and Cassia. Now I'll ask you one more question. Which flower shows zygomorphic condition and and vexillary estivation? Tell me the answer now. Tell me the answer now, all of you. This is a question can be asked students when they mix and match. Tell me a flower which plant which shows vexillary estivation as well as your zygomorphic condition. Tell me the answer. Tell me the answer. Quickly in the chat. Anyone? Anyone in the chat? Example is your pea plant. Example is your pea flower. Main pea flower. Okay. Even bean, pea, bean, gulmohar and cassia. Gulmohar and cassia will show imbricate estivation, while pea and bean will show vexillary estivation, which are also zygomorphic, which are also zygomorphic in nature. Remember zygomorphic conditions. What am I going to show you again? There are four examples for zygomorphic, right? Four example for zygomorphic. Now, out of these four, Gulmohar and Cassia show your imbricate estivation, while P and B will show vexillary estivation. Vexillary estivation. So they can miss and match. Okay, I'll ask you one more question. Which flower shows zygomorphic condition, vexillary estivation, and diadalphous condition? Tell me the answer now. Tell me the answer. Which particular flower shows zygomorphic condition, diadalphous condition, and vexillary estivation? Then what is your answer? Then what is the answer? Tell me. Anyone? Then what is the answer? Now students understand here. Again the answer is P only, P plant, which shows diadalphous condition. Now here you need to understand is this is the outermost whorl, right? This is the outermost whorl. The outermost petal, so not whorl, outermost petal is called as your standard. It's called as the standard. This is called as wing. These two on the inside are called as keel. Now what is the arrangement? One single standard plus two wings. Can you see? One wing here and one more wing here. Two wings plus how many keel? Two keel. The two keels are completely fused here. Can you see? The two keels are completely fused here. That is called as vexillary estivation. Okay, this is called as vexillary estivation. Clear all of you? This was your valvate. Trick here again, very simple. Vexillary estimation is what? BP vaccine. B for bean, P for P, and V for vexillary. BP vaccine. Vexillary. Okay. This was your twisted, imbricate, and vexillary estivation. Next one is androecium, friends. Next one is androecium. All of you know. You can't see red color, huh? Let me change the color. Let me change the color. You should told starting only, no? Here the trick is what? BP vaccine. Vaccine, you know, right? BP vaccine. Like corona vaccine. There's no BP vaccine, but okay. BP vaccine. B is bean. P is P. and V is for vexillary estivation. The meaning of V is vexillary estivation. Understood, all of you? Understood now? This is standard, wing, and keel. The outermost is called as standard, two wing, and the innermost is called as keel. And you can see the keel is completely fused. So 1 plus 2, which is completely fused. The two keel are completely fused here. Okay? Students, remember tricks. All of the tricks you remember, right? Apply the tricks, learn the tricks, write down the tricks. Okay? Because if you don't do that, right, examination trick will never come to your mind otherwise. Then. So if you want to know the tricks and everything, you need to practice the tricks once beforehand. Okay? In the examination, you're sitting otherwise, what is the trick? Never come to your mind. Okay? Now what is androecium? Now all of you should know androecium is nothing but collection of a stamen. Collection of stamen. Androecium is composition of stamen. When many stamens are coming together, it is called as androecium. Clear? Now students, wait until gynoecium. I'll tell you. How many of you know what is the difference between a carpel and a pistil? How many of you know the difference between a carpel and pistil? Some of you will say they're same and same. They're same to same. They're same but different. They're same but different. So I will teach you in gynaecium. I'll teach you what is the difference between a stay. I'll teach you difference between what is a pistil and what is a carpel. Okay. So be ready for that. That'll come later on. Now, androecium is composed of stamen. When many stamens are coming together, that becomes an androecium. That becomes a androecium. Okay. Each stamen which represents the male reproductive organ consisting of a stalk or a filament and an anther. So what do we have, students? We have a stalk, that is the filament here. We have the anther, in which there are two lobes. That's what's called as bilobed structure, which has the pollen sacs from where pollen grains are released. Pollen grains are released from there. Okay, pollen grains are released from there. A very important line again. The pollen grains are produced in a pollen sac. A sterile stamen is called a staminode. If a stamen is not able to produce the pollen grains, it is called as staminode. Infertile. Basically, it's called as staminode. Okay. Now, students, understand the new concept here. I'll teach you all of you. Something called as fusion of stamen or fusion of filaments or fusion of anther. Okay. It can be broadly classified into two different categories. Broadly classified into two different categories. Okay. The first one is called as adhesion. First one is called as adhesion. Second one is called as cohesion. Now, what is happening in adhesion cohesion? In adhesion, there is something called as epipetalous condition. Epipetalous condition. What happens in epipetalous condition? In the case of epipetalous condition, stamen is fusing with other whorls. For example, we have sepals, petals, androecium, gynoecium, calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium. Four different whorls. Now, stamen is fusing with other whorls such as the petals from corolla. When stamen, that is stamen and petals are fused together, that is called as epipetalous condition. It is called as what? Epipetalous condition. How do you represent it? This is corolla, this is androecium, both are fused from top. Example is brinjal. Example is brinjal. That is the first one. The second one is called as epiphyllous condition. Epiphyllous condition. Epiphyllous condition. Now again, stamen is fusing with something called as tepal. Fusing with the tepal. What is tepal? Tepal is a structure where you can't tell which is a petal, which is a tepal. You can't tell which is a sepal or which is a petal. So what is the tepal, students? I'll write here. Tepal is nothing but petal plus sepal. When they fuse together, we get a tepal. When tepal fuse with the stamen, we get the epiphyllous condition. We get the epiphyllous condition that time. So, for example, this is the perianth, how it is represented. Androecium, they are bonding, they have a connection between them. Example is lily. Example is lily. Lily is a simple example. Okay. So, in adhesion, what is happening? In the adhesion, stamen is fusing with the other whorls. Stamen is fusing with the other worlds here. Okay. Now, what about cohesion? What exactly happens in cohesion? In cohesion, we have something called as polyandrous condition. First of all, this is not exactly in cohesion, but you should know. In polyandrous condition, everything is free. Stamen and anther, everything is filament, everything is free here. Okay. Now, what happens in synandrous condition? What happens in synandrous condition? In the case of synandrous condition, understand friends, understand definition. Your diagram you understand will be easy to understand later on. What happens in synandrous condition? In synandrous condition, this is the anther filament, anther filament, anther and filament. In the case of synandrous condition, in the case of synandrous condition, the entire stamen, that which includes anther and filament both, stamen is fused here completely. Stamen is completely fused. That is called a synandrous condition. Stamen is fused here completely. Okay, understand. Now there's something called as syngenesious condition. Syngenesious condition. Syngenesious condition. Now what happens in syngenesious condition, students? This is mostly seen in the case of your what is that? Asteraceae members. Asteraceae. Asteraceae. Again we have the anther and filament, anther and filament, and anther and filament. Okay, anther and filament. In the case of syngenesious condition, only and only the anther is fused. Only and only the anthers are completely fused. What is happening here? Anther is fused completely, and at the same time, filament is free. Can you see? The filaments are completely free here. This is called as syngenesious condition. It is called as what? Syngenesious condition. So tepals and perianth are same? No. Understand difference, I'll tell you. Now, what do you call a group of stamen? Tell me. Group of stamen is called as androecium. Group of group of pistil is called as gynoecium. Many petals are called as corolla. Many sepals are called as calyx. Similarly, many tepal is called as perianth. So many tepal, group of tepal, group of tepal is called as perianth. Clear? Clear? That is the meaning of perianth. Group of tepal is called as perianth. Like collectively, it's called as perianth. Okay, very simple to understand all this. Now, students, understand there is something called as Adolphus condition. Adolphus. Adolphus. What happens in Adolphus condition? Students, don't worry, all these notes will be given to you. Now, these notes, the other notes which I have written on the smart board, right, on the main channel, that is Vedantu English channel, all those notes will be available on Telegram. All of you know Telegram? This is my Telegram. All of those notes will be available on the this Telegram right here. If you want these notes, not these notes which I have written earlier, right, which I have written earlier on the smart board, those notes will be available on Telegram channel. Okay. Now, what happens in Adolphus condition? Understand diagram again. Understand the diagram. Very easy it is. Okay. In the case of Adolphus condition, can you see? This is your anther. This is the anther. This is the filaments. Now, in the case of Adolphus condition, all the filaments are fused now. Complete opposite of syngenesious. Complete opposite of syngenesious. In Adolphus condition, the filaments are fused. Filaments are fused. Now you tell me, students, filaments are fused in how many bundles here? Tell me. Filaments are fused in how many bundles here? One bundle. So, if filaments are fused into one bundle, it is called as monoadolphous. If filaments, for example, we had anther like this. Okay. Here, this is one bundle, and this is separately. So, when all the filaments are fused into two bundles, can you see? This is one bundle this side, and this is second bundle. When they're fused into two bundles, it's called as diadolphous condition. Now, what if they are fused in many bundles? That is called as polyadelphous condition. Understand the difference. Polyadelphous condition. Okay, polyadelphous condition. Now, based on that, we have brinjal, that is epipetalous condition. So, epipetalous condition, can you see here? Stamen and brinjal, all the stamens are fused here. Are you able to see? Yes or no? Can you see here? The stamen is completely fused with the petal here, brinjal. This is in the case of lily, epiphyllous condition. All the stamen is fused with the tepal here, tepal. This is the unequal, and I'll tell you. Unequal, and I'll tell you. Okay. See this. Polyandrous is what? Polyandrous is going to be completely free. Petals are free here. Petals are completely free in the case of polyandrous condition. Adelphous condition, monoadelphous. Monoadelphous example is what? China rose. Diadelphous example is pea plant. Pea plant is the same example for your um zygomorphic and vexillary estivation, right? Last one, polyadelphous example is citrus fruit. Citrus. All of these examples are only and only taken from your NCERT. Nothing extra will be asked in examination. So only read the NCERT examples. Nothing extra is not required here. Okay. Now students, I will teach you this something called as unequal length of the stamen. For example, there is something called as tetradynamous condition. Tetradynamous condition. Wait, we're going to second floor now. Tetradynamous condition, as well as didynamous condition. Didynamous condition. What is the difference here? In tetradynamous, dynamous, tetradynamous condition, we have something called as 2 plus 4 arrangement of stamen. For example, we have two particular 4 stamen on the inside are very long stamen or very long filament. Long filament on the inside. Long filament on the inside. While the 2 short filaments will be on the outside. Can you see the 2 short filaments? The 2 short filaments. So 2 plus 4 arrangement. 2 short on the inside. On the inside. So this is the 2 short on the outside. 2 short on the outside. 4 tall on the inside. Okay. Bilateral structure. This is what it looks like. Four, 2 short on the outside, 4 on the inside. The example is very simple. That is mustard. Mustard is the example here. Now, what is didynamous condition? Understand didynamous. Very simple. In didynamous condition, you have 2 plus 2 arrangement. 2 plus 2 arrangement. Very simple. See this. For example, let me draw it for you. Let me draw it for you. Can you see here? Here, the 2 tall are on the outside here. The 2 tall are on the outside, while the 2 short are on the inside. 2 plus 2 arrangement. Complete opposite of didynamous. Complete opposite of didynamous condition. 2 plus 2 arrangement. Clear? This is what a didynamous condition. So brinjal, the example is salvia. Example is salvia. What didynamous? Let's read NCERT lines here. If you read NCERT, it is very easy now. Read the NCERT, it will be very easy. Stamens of the flower may be united in with other members, that is adhesion, other members of such as petals, and among themselves is cohesion, that is adelphous condition. When stamens attach to the petal, they are called as epipetalous condition. Example is brinjal. Epiphyllous condition attached to the perianth or tepal, that is example is lily. The stamens in the flower may be either remain free, that is polyandrous free. In they are fused together, it is called as monoadelphous in one bundle, diadelphous in two bundle. Example is pea plant, here China rose. Polyadelphous is many bundles, citrus is the example. There may be variation in the length of the filaments within the flower, salvia, didynamous, mustard, tetradynamous condition. Understood all of you? Understood? Yes or no? Tell me. Understood? Let me get the chat. Let me get the chat from the chat. One second, students. Hmm. Okay, students? No. So next one is gynoecium. Understand the gynoecium. Understand the gynoecium structure now. All of you know, gynoecium is the female reproductive part. Gynoecium right here, can you see? Gynoecium is entire gynoecium is called as all of you are aware, right? Gynoecium is the female reproductive part of the flower. Well, friends, what is gynoecium? Gynoecium is nothing but a collection of pistils. Collection of pistil. Gynoecium is called as collection of pistil, or it can be made up of many carpel also. Now, what is the difference between a carpel and a pistil? Now, understand, all of you understand. Now, think of your hand right here. Think of your hand as a pistil. Your entire hand is a pistil. Does the hand has multiple fingers? Yes. Similarly, a pistil will have many carpels. So carpel is a part of a pistil. This is a pistil right here. A pistil has many carpels. A hand has many fingers. A pistil has many carpels. And if all these carpels are free, it is called as apocarpus. If the carpels are fused together, it is called as syncarpus. If there is a single carpel present, monocarpellary. Two carpels, bicarpellary. Three carpels, tricarpellary. Many carpels, polycarpellary condition. Carpellary condition. Okay, and what does a carpellary has? A carpel has stigma, style, and ovary are a part of a carpel. Clear all of you? They are a part of a carpel. I hope you know the difference now. Entire hand is a pistil and it has many carpels in it. A pistil has many carpels in it. Can you see here? Multiple carpels, multiple carpels, multiple carpels are there. Multiple carpels. This is called as a pistil. Entire thing is called as a pistil. Understood all of you? Understood the difference? A carpel consists of three main parts. All of you know three main parts. That is the stigma, style, and ovary. And within the ovary, we can find the ovules. Ovules can be found within the ovary. Ovules can be found within the ovary. And there is something called as locule. What is locule? Locule is basically a gap or a chamber. Gap or a chamber. Can you see? This is a chamber right here. This is the chamber. And within this chamber, we have the ovules, and all the ovules are attached somewhere. They can't simply lie around, they can't be randomly placed. All the ovules are attached to a small cushion like structure called as placenta. All the ovules are attached to the placenta here. All the ovules are attached to the placenta. Clear, all of you? Clear? It is attached to the placenta. Locule is the chamber here. If there is a single locule, it's called as unilocular. If there are two chamber, it is called as bilocular. Three chamber, trilocular. Many chamber, multilocular condition. Okay. See here. Ovary is the largest basal part of the lice and the elongated tube. The style connects the ovary to the stigma. Stigma usually at the top of the style and is far more receptive surface of for the pollen grain. Basically, all the pollen grains land on the stigma. Each ovary bears one or more ovules attached to the flattened cushion-like placenta. I told you, cushion-like structure called as placenta. On top of the placenta, all the ovules are attached. All the ovules are attached to the placenta. Okay. When more than one carpel is present and they may be free in the case of lotus and rose, free. Apocarpus example is what? Apocarpus example is lotus and rose. Please remember these examples. Apocarpus, free carpus example is lotus and rose, and when they are fused together it is called a syncarpus. Example is mustard and tomato. A syncarpus. After fertilization, the ovule develops into a seed. All of you know the ovule will become seed. Ovary will become turned into a fruit. Can you have free carpels? All the carpels are free here. In the case of lotus and rose, carpels are free of cost. Apocarpus. This is your syncarpus. In the case of your mustard and tomato are the syncarpus condition. Please remember these examples. If that is done, now students, can you tell me, can we start the placentation concept now? Can we start the class concept of classification or the placentation? Can we start? Yes or no? Tell me. Can we start the placentation now? No. Understand placentation is very simple again, very easy to understand, and I will teach you in the most easiest way. So follow through. Okay, follow through. Just follow through. Okay. The first one is called as marginal placentation. Now, what comes to your mind when you think of margin? Margin means somewhere in the corner. Margin, like how your book has a margin. So here also, all the ovules, can you see? All the ovules are at the margin here. All the ovules are at the margin. But here I want everyone to focus on this part here. What is this part called as? This part is called as ventral suture. This part right here, middle part. For example, this is the pod. Where it is opening, right? All the ovules are attached. That is called as ventral suture. Ventral suture. The outside part is called as, when open part, it is called as dorsal suture. Pod will open. The outside part is called as dorsal suture. Inner part is called as ventral suture. So all the ovules are attached where? All the ovules are attached in a margin in the ventral suture. Understand the definition. The same definition is also given in your NCERT. It's just the ventral suture. All the ovules are born at the ventral suture. Okay? Understand that one. Placenta forms a ridge on which ovules are born. Example is marginal placentation. Example is MP. What is M? M for marginal placentation, P for pea plant. MP is the trick here. Friends, I'll tell you a trick for everything now. Okay, understand. MP. M for marginal, P for pea plant. P for pea plant. Marginal pea plant. Okay, marginal pea plant. Now, next one is parietal placentation. Now, students, in parietal placentation, when you think of parietal, always remember peripheral. Periphery. Periphery. Now, what is the meaning of periphery? Meaning of periphery is the outer part. Periphery means the outer layer. Yes or no? Tell me. Periphery means outer part. Periphery. Outer part is called as periphery or outer part. So all the ovules are born at the outer wall. All the ovules are born at the outer wall here. Okay. All the ovules are born at the outer wall. Now, do you see any septa formation here? Do you see any septa formation? Do you see any locules? Yes, there's only single locular. This is unilocular right now. Right now it is unilocular. Right now it is unilocular. Okay, unilocular. But what happens here, students? Understand. In the case, in the later stages, there is a formation of something called as false septum here. Now, this in the parietal placentation, there is a septa formation in the middle called as replum. It's called as replum. Replum. Okay, replum. I repeat, replum. Now, because of replum formation, this unilocular will become bilocular. Unilocular will become bilocular because of the false septa formation. That is exact. How's the trick here? Trick is nothing but parents are masters. Parents are masters. Masters. P for parietal placentation. Parietal placentation. A for argemone. A for argemone. And M for mustard. M for mustard. Parents are masters, a simple trick here. Parents are masters called a simple trick. There is a formation of false replum here. False septum here. Now, students, what is axial placentation? In axial placentation, it's usually multilocular. That is main important pointer. How to remember, students? See, if you look at the lemon or tomato, do you see many small lines there inside? Have you seen, to squeeze lemon also when you make juice? Do you see many lines in the lemon? Each one is called as a locule there, students, and it is always multilocular condition. Multilocular condition. Multilocular condition. Okay, multilocular condition. Now see here. Ovules attached to the multilocular ovary, and all the ovules are attached to the center of the where the placenta is present. So all the ovules are present at the center where we have the placenta, and there is septa formation. Can you see? There is septa. Basically multilocular condition. That is the main thing here. What is the trick here? Trick is very simple again. Trick is very simple. For axial placentation, that is axial allow China to leave. Send them home. A for axial placentation, China for China rose, T for tomato, L for lemon or lemon. Okay, lemon or lemon. Allow China to leave axial placentation. Done. No. Free central placentation. In free central placentation, it is similar to axial placentation but without septa. That's all. Ovules are born on the central axis with no septa. With no septa. What is free central? Fredo, change your DP. Fredo, change your WhatsApp DP, any DP. D for dianthus, P for primrose. Dianthus and primrose. F for free central. Free central. F for free central. Clear? Last one is basic placentation. Very simple. A single large ovule is present at the bottom. Develop at the base of the ovary. A single large, you can see, a single large ovule at the bottom. Single large ovule at the bottom. At the bottom of the ocean like that. What is the trick here? Trick is very simple. Birds migrate south. B for basal placentation, M for marigold, and S for sunflower. S for sunflower. Birds migrate south. Birds migrate south. Okay. Hello, everyone. Can you see a basal placentation? Basal placentation. All is a basal placentation. Now, students, that is the end of. Let me read the NCERT. See, placentation. What is the meaning of placentation, students? Very simple. Arrangement of ovules within the ovary is known as placentation. The placenta are different types, namely marginal, axial, parietal, free central. Marginal placentation, placenta forms a ridge along the ventral suture. All of you remember the ventral suture of the ovary, and ovules are born in this ridge, forming of two rows, as in pea plant. When the placenta is axial and the ovules are attached in it to make it multilocular ovary, placenta is called as axial placentation. So in the case of axial placentation, this multilocular ovary, and placenta is axial, that is in the middle. Okay. In parietal placentation, the ovules are developed at the inner wall, parietal, periphery, inner wall of the ovary or the peripheral. See, peripheral part. Periphery means outer wall. Periphery means outer wall. Ovary is one chambered, so unilocular, where in the starting, but it becomes two chambered, it is bilocular later on. Why? Because the false septum formation. Did we learn that? False septum formation here. False septum formation in parietal placentation. Okay. Mustard and archivone. When the ovules are born in the central axis with no septa, that is your free central. Present in the center, but no septa formation. Last one is basal. What is basal? A single ovule is attached to it. At the bottom, single large ovule is the bottom. Example is marigold and sunflower. Marigold and sunflower. I hope this was very easy to understand, right? I hope it was very easy to understand each one of them. Then students, then yes. Now, can we start with something called as now the fruit? Can we start with the fruit, students? What is a fruit? Can anyone tell me what is a fruit? Fruit. What is the difference between fruit and vegetable? How many of you can tell me what is the difference between a fruit and a vegetable? Quickly, I'll give you 1 minute time. Time starts now. Tell me what is the meaning or difference between a fruit and a vegetable? Quickly, quickly, all of you. Is lady's finger a fruit or vegetable? It is a fruit. Tomato is a fruit. Berry is a fruit. Mango is a fruit. Yes. Apple is a fruit. What is a fruit then? Fruit is a structure which develops from the ovary. Fruit is a fruit is a ripened. Fruit is a ripened ovary. So done. Fruit is a ripened ovary. For example, then sir, what is a vegetable then? Vegetable is nothing but which you eat the vegetative part. For example, if you eat root, carrot, turnip, radish, sweet potato, root. If you eat potato is a stem modification. Potato is a stem modification. Onion is a onion is a vegetable. Onion is a vegetable because you're eating the leaf there. Okay, or it could be leaf, eating the leaf like your all the leafy things, coriander, curry leaves, pudina, palak, all that is vegetable. All that is vegetable. Okay. So if you want to know what is fruit is a directly derived from the ovary, but anything else is a vegetable. Anything else is a vegetable. Okay. Now parts of the fruit. Understand friends, parts of the fruit. Parts of the fruit. Parts of the fruit. The entire outer part, the fruit, part of the fruit is called as basically there are two parts mainly. There is seed on the inside, and outside we have the something called as pericarp. Pericarp on the outside, inside we have seed. Okay, so we have seed here. In the diagram, we have the seed here. Seed is here. Now pericarp. Pericarp is divided into three parts. Outer part is called as epicarp. Middle part is called as mesocarp. Inner part is called as endocarp. The pericarp is divided into three different parts here. Outer part is called as pericarp, middle part is called as the mesocarp, and inner part is called as the endocarp. Endocarp. Okay? Endocarp. Now, students, I will tell you something called as the types of fruits. Understand? I'll tell you something called as types of fruits. There is a some basic classification of fruits. Something called as true fruits. One second. There's something called as true fruits. True fruits are the fruits which only only develop from the ovary. They develop directly from the ovary. That is a true fruit. Then what is a false fruit? False fruit is a fruit which develops from ovary plus any other any other floral part. Any floral part. It could be thalamus, it could be petal, it could be sepal, it could be any part. Thalamus is example is your apple. In apple, thalamus is growing. Thalamus is growing in the case of apple. In the case of okay. There's one more type of fruit called as parthenocarpic fruit. Can anyone tell me what is the meaning of parthenocarpic fruit? Anyone? Parthenocarpic fruit. Parthenocarpic fruit is a fruit which develops without fertilization. Fruit without fertilization. Fruit without fertilization. Fruit without fertilization is called as parthenocarpic fruit. Fruit developing without fertilization. Now, whenever parthenocarpic fruit happens, right, it's usually seedless. The fruit is usually seedless. I'll show you a diagram. See this. Can you see here? In normal fruit has seeds, but parthenocarpic fruit does not have any seed at all. No seed. Seedless fruit. Very easy to eat. Very easy to eat. Okay. That is the basic form of classification of fruit. Now, students, there is one more classification. You want to learn? One more classification. Very simple classification. I'll write down for you. Understand. One more type of classification. Okay. We have something called as simple fruit. Simple fruit. Simple fruit is a fruit which develops from a single flower. Which develops from a single flower. Then we have something called as aggregate of fruits. Aggregate. Aggregate of fruits. Which also develops from a single flower. Okay. Then we have something called as composite fruit. Composite fruit. This I'll tell you later on where it develops from. First, understand simple fruit, students. Understand simple fruit. Simple fruit can be of two types. Where we have a single carpel. Single carpel or multi-carpellary condition. Multi-carpellary condition. See, all of you know, one flower can have multiple carpels. Yes, multiple carpels. Now here, this multiple carpels is usually syncarpous in nature. Tell me what are the meaning of syncarpous? Can anyone tell me what are the meaning of syncarpous in the chat? Syncarpous means all the carpels are fused. All the carpels are fused. Okay. Now this simple fruit, single carpel, again further divided two categories called as dry fruit, not the ones like kaju and badam, different type of dry fruit. Dry fruit and fleshy fruit. Fleshy fruit. Fleshy fruit. Now this is what is given your NCERT. Out of all of this, this is given your NCERT. Fleshy fruit. Here we have, what is the difference between dry fruit and fleshy fruit, friends? Difference between dry fruit and fleshy fruit is that in dry fruit there is no differentiation. No differentiation. You will ask me, sir, what differentiation of what? In the case of dry fruit, there is no differentiation, but in the case of fleshy fruit, there is a differentiation of pericarp. Here we have something called as epicarp, mesocarp, and endocarp. Three different differentiation of pericarp. Differentiation of pericarp can be seen in the case of fleshy fruit, but in the case of dry fruit, no, you cannot see. Single flower, multicarpally, same carpus. This is for your simple fruit. Okay, simple fruit. Now, students, what is aggregate of fruits? Now, aggregate of understand aggregate of fruits. Aggregate of fruits wherein develop again from multicarpellary condition. Multicarpellary condition, but this time they will be apocarpus. Apocarpus. Understand the example, you will love it. See here. Can you see here? In the case of your raspberry, strawberry, or blueberry, can you see this each individual one here? Can you see this one? Each blob here is developing from a carpel, multi-carpellary condition, right? So each one is a fruitlet here. Each one is a fruitlet developing from a single carpel. So developing from multiple carpel, apocarpus condition. Apocarpus condition. Understood? No, dry fruit is not coconut. Coconut will also come under your fleshy fruit only. Because in coconut, can you tell? In coconut, do we have epicarp, mesocarp, endocarp? Yes. In coconut, we have something called as epicarp, mesocarp, endocarp. Yes. There is something like that in coconut. So coconut is not a dry fruit. Coconut is also a fleshy fruit. Coconut is also a fleshy fruit. Okay. Remember that. Now, what is composite fruit then? Composite fruit. Understand the difference. Your composite fruit will develop directly from an entire inflorescence. Entire whole inflorescence. Entire inflorescence will be converted. Entire inflorescence can convert into a fruit. For example, pineapple. See this. This is a pineapple inflorescence. Entire flower will get converted. I repeat again, the entire flower can get converted into a fruit here. Can you see here? Entire flower. Each individual one here, fruitlet, is a flower. Each fruitlet here is a flower, not carpel. Okay, not carpel. Then, then students, understood? Understood? One second. Hmm. That is for a fruit, parthenocarpic fruit. Can you see here? We have the epicarp, we have the epicarp, we have the mesocarp, and we have the endocarp for your entire fruit. Now, students, I'll tell you a small thing about drupe here. Your entire fruit is called as drupe. It is called as drupe. It's called as drupe. Okay, it's called as a drupe. Now, drupe always develops from. Drupe particular fruit always and always develop from a monocarpillary monocarpillary superior ovary. Now students, did we learn here from a single carpel? So monocarpillary fleshy fruit is under single carpel. So monocarpillary superior ovary for your drupe. Now here understand the endocarp, the inside part. Endocarp is usually stony. Stony endocarp is present. Stony. Like stone endocarp. You can't eat endocarp here. Endocarp is stony. Now, what about mesocarp? Okay. Mesocarp can be edible. It can be edible or it can be fibrous. It can be edible or it can be fibrous. Edible in the case of mango and fibrous in the case of coconut. This is a mesocarp. Mesocarp. Okay. Mesocarp. Clear all of you? Clear? This is the meaning of drupe. Can you see here? This is the pericarp differentiation. Can you see here? Epicarp, mesocarp, endocarp. Then they have seed on the inside. Seed on the inside. Now with that fruit, did we read? Did we read everything? Okay. I think the fruit part is only missing the entire. I think the fruit slide only is missing. One second, students. Let me just check. It is missing. Great. So I hope you understood the fruit, entire fruit part, students, right? Now you will do the seed. Can we start the seed? We will take a 10 minutes break and we'll start the seed, students. I'll just go down and come. Class will resume at what's the time now? 6:30, right? 6:40 will start, okay? 6:40 p.m. will start. I'll just come back. थोड़ा तेज नहीं हो पाएगा. I'm sorry. Okay? Some kind of emergency, so I have to go down. So students, the last part is seed is very easy again. Seed is very easy. The first thing which you need to know about seed is where it develops from. So all of you know the ovules, right? The ovules develops directly into the seed. That's the first point everyone knows. Okay. Now students, what is seed made up of? What is seed made up of? That is very important. The entire seed is made up of two main things. The first part is called as the outer two. One second, let me show you. Let me change the color. It is made up of something called a seed coat. Can you see here? The entire seed is made up of seed coat, which is basically testa, the outer layer, and uh, testa, the outer layer, the testa, and we have tegmen. Tegmen is the inner layer, testa and tegmen. And we have something called as embryonal axis. Now, what is the embryonal axis? Embryonal axis. Can you see here? This part in the middle, which is basically made up of the plumule, hypocotyle, and radicle. This entire thing is called as the embryonal axis. Embryonal axis. So we have the embryonal axis, we have the seed coat. Now, if those two things are there, what is the meaning of cotyledons then? Can anyone tell me in the chat what is the meaning of cotyledons? Can anyone tell me what is the meaning of cotyledons and what is the difference between, let's say, cotyledons and endosperm? Can anyone tell me what is the difference between cotyledon and endosperm? Now, both of you know, right? Cotyledon as well as cotyledon as well as endosperm, both of them main function is nutrition. Nutrition. But what is the difference between cotyledon and endosperm then? So understand, students, cotyledon is basically the young leaf. It is a young leaf. It also provides nutrition. It also provides nutrition, but the question is when and where. The answer is, for example, zygote is developing into embryo. An embryo is developing into a plant. The initial nutrition, can you see it? The initial nutrition is given by the endosperm. That is why they say unless endosperm is formed, embryo development will not happen. Now, embryo to the plant stage, that initial stage, the nutrition is given by cotyledon. Cotyledon. I hope the difference is clear to all of you where they are providing nutrition. Where they are providing nutrition. Zygote to embryo usually endosperm. The embryo to plant is usually cotyledon. And in the case of dicot, we have two cotyledon. That's why it's called as dicotyledon plants. Dicotyledon plants. Okay, so two cotyledons in the case of dicots, single cotyledon in the case of monocots. Two cotyledon in the case of dicots, gram and pea. Wheat and maize, monocotyledon. Okay, one cotyledon. Now, structure of dicot seed, understand friends. If you look at the structure of dicot seed, it has mainly again three main parts. Outside part is called a seed coat, which is made up of testa and tegmen. In the inside, we have a structure called as hilum. Now, what is the structure of called hilum? Now, you tell me, students, in the case of mango, when you eat the mango, do you get seed on the inside or do you get seed on the outside? You will tell me, sir, seed is present inside the mango fruit. Okay. But at one point, the seed has to attach to the fruit wall. Unless the attachment is there, the seed will be free floating otherwise. Right? So has to be a point in the entire fruit where the seed is attaching with the fruit wall, that is the endocarp and seed is attaching. The point of attachment is called as hilum. That point of attachment where seed is meeting the fruit wall, that is called as hilum. Then what is micropyle? Micropyle is a small minute hole through which water can enter inside the seed. Okay, water can enter inside. Then let's see what is given here. The outermost covering of the seed is called as seed coat, which is made up of testa, testa testa, the outer layer, and inner is a tegmen. Hilum is a scar, I told you. Hilum is a scar on the seed coat through which developing seed were attached to the fruit. Developing seed were attached to the fruit. Okay. Above the hilum, there is a small pore called as micropyle. Within the seed coat is the embryonal consisting of the embryonal axis. All of you know what is an embryonal axis? Radicle and plumule. The two cotyledons are often fleshy and full of reserved food material. Told you. At two ends of the embryonal axis are present radicle and plumule. All of you know radicle give rise to the root, plumule gives rise to the shoot. In some seeds, such as casters, endosperm formed as a result of double fertilization. So endosperm is present. Endosperm is present in the case of castor. Castor. Okay. Castor. And they're called as endospermic seed or albuminous seed. Endosperm is present. Albuminous seed. In plants such as bean, gram, pea, majority of dicots, all the dicots, almost all the dicots, endosperm is not present. So this becomes an exception. This becomes a exception. So castor becomes an exception in the case of dicot, which has endosperm or albuminous seeds. Usually the dicots, usually the dicots are what? They are non-endospermic. They are non-endospermic. Clear all of you? Clear? Clear all of the difference should be clear to all of you. So usually dicots are non-endospermic, but or ex-albuminous seeds, but exception is castor here. Okay. Now students, all of you like rajma. All of you like rajma chawal. In rajma chawal, what are you eating there? You're not eating the plumule or radicle. You're actually eating the cotyledon. You're not eating the endosperm. Why? Because endosperm is consumed. Right? So you're eating the cotyledon. For example, chana or chole butter masala. When you eat chole, have you seen this part here? That is called as a radicle. And have you seen the seed coat coming out? You might have seen, right? Seed coat is coming out of some chole. That is basically seed coat. That is testa. Now, the inner fleshy part here, can you see? The inner fleshy part is called as the cotyledons. They are the two cotyledons or dicotyledons. Clear all of you? Now we enter the last part of the chapter that is called as the monocot seed. Monocot seed. Ready all of you? Ready? I hope all of you understood the difference between cotyledon, endosperm, albuminous, exalbuminous, that is basically endospermic, non-endospermic seeds. Okay? Now see the diagram again. Now see here students, in the case of your in the case of a monocot seed, in the case of monocot seed, first main point is that the seed coat and fruit wall are kind of fused here. You cannot tell which is the seed coat, testa, tegmen. No, you can't tell. You can't tell which is the seed coat and which is the fruit wall. Both are fused here. Done. First point. Done. Second point, there is a single large cotyledon here. Single large cotyledon called as scutellum. Second point, it is a cotyledon. Single large cotyledon. Okay, done. Third main point, we have something called as the endosperm here. An endosperm is separated from the embryo. This is the entire thing is the embryo. The endosperm is separated from the endosperm and embryo are two separated here. How? Because in the middle there is a separate layer called as aileron layer. Aileron layer is separating the endosperm from the embryo, and this aileron layer is a protein rich layer. Protein rich layer called as aileron layer. Aileron layer. Now, if you can see the embryo, don't you think the embryo is pushed to the side? It is pushed to the side and to one corner. Yes, sir. It is pushed to the side and it is into one corner. That is the third point, aileron layer. Fourth point is embryo is pushed here. Fifth point. Can you see a plumule? Plumule. Radicle, radicle. The plumule and radicle has an extra covering for protection around it. For example, P for plumule, P for coleoptile. Keep P is here, P is here. That's how you can remember P. Coleoptile is a protective layer against the plumule, for the plumule. Now radicle, radicle, coleorhiza, it has R here, R is the radicle. Coleorhiza is protecting the radicle. Clear all of you? That is basically the fifth point here. Fifth point. Done. That's all is your entire monocot seed. And usually, students, usually we can find endosperm. Endosperm is usually present in the case of monocots. It is present in the case of monocots. Endospermic seeds. There are endospermic seeds. Usually. But there is an exception again. Orchids. Orchids is an exception, I'll show you. Okay. See here. Generally, monocot seed are endospermic. I told you. But some, as in orchids, are non-endospermic. Orchid is an exception here. Orchid is an exception here. Exception. Examination, they will ask you exception examples. That's all. In seeds kernels, such as maize, the seed coat is membranous and generally fused with the fruit wall. Did we learn that here? First point. Seed coat and fruit wall are fused together. Yes. The endosperm is bulky, present, and store food. The outer covering of the endosperm is separated from the embryo. Endosperm embryo separated. How? Because of the aileron layer. Aileron layer. Okay. The embryo is small and situated in the groove at one end of the endosperm. So it is pushed towards one side. It consists of a one large shield shape. Very important lines. Large single shield shaped. This one. Single large shield shape. This is shield. This is apparently this is shield shape. I don't know how it is a shield, but we will call it a shield now. Single large shield. This is a shield right here. Shield shape cotyledon called as scutellum. It is called as scutellum. Many times PYQ, NEET examination, board examination have always asked you. Always ask this question. Scutellum. Okay. And a short axis of plumule and radicle. The plumule and radicle are enclosed by sheath. That is a covering called as coleoptile. P for coleoptile plumule. Coleorhiza R. Coleorhiza for radicle. Okay. This is the orchids. Orchids having non-endospermic seeds. Non-endospermic. All the seeds are consumed. All the seeds are completely consumed here. And that is the end of this chapter. Thank you so much, students. Successfully done. Successfully done. So let me know in the comment section if you want these notes, right? It's very important for me to know that if you want these notes, right? So I will give you these notes because beautiful notes, right? Not these ones. One which I've done written in my personally I've written on the smartboard I've written. A lot of images are there, and that one also has a PYQs. Neat PYQs it has. So if you want the notes, let me know in the comment section. Smash the like button, and also all the notes will be available where on the Telegram channel. Baswaraj Sir Biology. This is my Telegram channel where all the notes will be available for you. Okay, all the notes will be available on this channel. Okay, so thank you so much, students, for today's class. Have a great day ahead, and I will see you. And also let me know in the chat which is the next chapter which you want, right? Which is the next chapter which you want. I was thinking let's finish RIP. What is RIP? Respiration implants. One shot we'll do it off. Okay, so next chapter mostly I was thinking we'll do RIP, very easy chapter. Glycolysis, Krebs cycle, electron transport chain, very easy to do. Okay, so hopefully we can do that chapter as the next one. Okay, so with that being said, thank you so much, students, and have a great day ahead.